Pinta in the circle. We are ready to go as Kinley Cahalan digs in. 290 on the season, and the first pitch on the outside corner is a called strike. Cahalan, the sophomore from Trussville, Alabama. Crimson Tide's roster chock full with players from this state going away. You can feel the energy tonight, right? I mean, you can kind of feel it walking around town today with the graduation taking place for Auburn. 7 graduates honored pregame for the Tigers. Some high heat, 1 and 2.
Well, it just is. These types of matchups are huge because it hits a little bit deeper. The rivalry is a real thing, and you think about it for football and how much these teams hate each other, and the same thing goes for softball. It's intense.
Good start for Pinta, and a strikeout recorded for out number 1.
Well, that's a good start for Maddie Pinta, and she's someone to me, like, she can change speeds, elite level change, and she has that experienced fastball. And the one thing that I've seen her carry over from the Kentucky weekend is throwing that rise ball a lot more. You saw her throw that and spin that into Cahalan. That's going to be an important pitch to spread the zone, get that drop ball going a little bit. But to me, it's about the location piece. Both of these pitchers, when they've struggled, Maddie Pinta, Kayla Beaver, it's simply come down to the free passes. And if you want to be in a ball game tonight and have that pitcher's duel, to me, it's going to be the pitcher that tends to struggle a little bit with the strike zone and maybe gives up those free passes.
White, a 323 hitter. Talk about Maddie Pinta. She is the winningest pitcher in Auburn softball history. 73 career victories. The strikeout total's incredible. And look at her numbers this year. 13 wins on the season. Both of these offenses trying to find their rhythm tonight. Hard to the plate, 2-1. That's something that Pinta and Beaver potentially can capitalize on with what they bring to the circle.
Well, it's about carrying over the momentum, right? You strike out Cahalan and then you fall 2-0 to the 2-hitter. Like, those are the things that we have to be able to continue the momentum from the hitter before. And I know that this has been a year where the umpire zones are tight. I talked to both pitching coaches before the games. Like, it's a frustrating piece because the numbers are there for hitters. You look at how good hitting has evolved in this game with the technology, and for pitchers, it just has not been the same. And with a smaller zone, it makes it tough.
Corner infielders crashing, 3-2, a full count to Kristen White. Pinta battles back. Tigers coming off a tough series against Ole Miss last weekend. You see White's numbers. She was the offense last week in Tuscaloosa against Tennessee. Payoff pitch, called strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts for Maddie Pinta.
Well, and if you're White, you cannot be waiting on the umpire zone. That's a pitch that bleeds a little bit over the heart of the plate. Really good pitch, good location. Money pitch in that situation. 4th in D1, leads all SEC in strikeouts. You have to know that if you are a hitter for Bama. Don't want to leave anything up to chance, especially in that first inning, not knowing what the umpire is going to give you.
Jenna Johnson digs in, a senior. Home plate umpire Alex Leap calling balls and strikes tonight. It's turned out to be a sweltering day on the plains. The temperatures have dipped a little bit into the lower 80s this evening. A little toasty for that open. The jackets are on and
it was.
Humidity's high.
I mean, you got to wear the button up and you got to wear the jacket. I could at least, you know, tank top underneath. I felt okay. I felt okay.
79 degrees for first pitch. And a slight breeze on this graduation weekend. Well, the SEC tournament's going to be right here next week. A lot of people talking about that. Driven hard towards left field and a running grab by McCrary. Well, loud third about it. Who's able to get on the scoreboard first? With 2 offenses that are trying to find their way. That could go a long ways in the opening game of this 3-game series. Beaver in the circle, and the first pitch settles in low for ball 1.
Well, and I like that Coach Mickey Dean has kept KK McCrary up there in that leadoff spot. Had a good series against Ole Miss. Obviously, they lost 2 of 3, but Had 5 hits, 5 walks, has been feisty up top that lineup. And I think, to me, that's the importance, right? Like, someone has to get the ladies going. Who's that player going to be? And when I think about it for Auburn, it's KK McCrary and what she's able to do. When she has good, lengthy at-bats, she really battles in there.
Mickey Dean, year number 7. This is his final season at Auburn. Announced his retirement last month. And certainly emotions running through his head this weekend and into the SEC tournament next week, right back here at Jane B. Moore Field. Good crowd on hand. Ball and 2 strikes to count as Beaver comes home and misses high. Kayla Beaver, the UCA transfer, lifelong Alabama fan. And her first taste of this rivalry this weekend. You know, you're talking with head coach Patrick Murray pregame. A bit amped up. Just making sure the emotions are where they need to be and that she does what she's done all year, and that's dominate.
Well, it's always interesting, too, when you have those transfer-in players, right, that haven't got the taste of what that rivalry is. Someone needs to explain it to them, and it was Emma Broadfoot playing first base for Bama. Ended up talking to this team a couple days ago at practice, just the importance of what this means and how crazy and how heated it really can get. And it means more to her. So I thought it was really cool, just him talking about how she sat the team down and gave her 2 cents on it all.
Leadoff walk issued to KK McCrary. Good start. The Tigers here in the bottom of the first. Squaring the bunt and sending it foul is Michaela Packer.
Well, when I think about Kayla Beaver, she's a high-energy pitcher. She's going to get all up and energetic and pump her fists, and she throws that high-rise ball in on the hands a ton. Saw that last pitch into Michaela Packer.
Bunted beautifully over to first base. Covering is the second baseman, Heavlin. And the sacrifice 1-4 puts McCrary at second.
Well, and when I was down talking to the coaches pregame, talking to Lance McMahon, the pitching coach for Alabama, he said the biggest key for someone like Kayla Beaver is just limiting the walks. And when I really kind of looked and broke down the series, they lost that Kentucky series, and there was 15 walks over the course of the 3 games. Right, that's not going to cut it. You cannot give up that many free passes. And you fast forward to Tennessee, only 2. And that, to me, really is the difference with these elite-level pitchers. You put up a free pass and you give someone a base, these teams have to find a way to score, or they just don't know how many opportunities that they're going to have.
Tresvik 320 with runners in scoring position this season. 311 on the campaign. 1-1 to count.
And I also like how they've moved Isis Tresvik up to the 3 spot. She was batting at the bottom half of the lineup, and this is the first time I've seen her really make that move up top. And with how she's swinging it, I mean, won the game for them in that 18, or felt like 18 hours. That 4-hour, 18 strikeout performance by Maddie Penta that went 11 innings last Friday. She was able to get those 2 solo shots in that game.
I believe you were part of that broadcast.
I sure was.
Upstairs, we'll even the count 2-2. Tresvik started her career at North Carolina A&T. Technically the leading hitter coming into this game tonight. You mentioned she's been planted towards the bottom of Mickey Dean's batting order a good bit lately. Starting to see it vividly, and a line out to left field playing perfectly was Jenna Johnson. It's out number 2. McCrary remains at second.
Number 34.
Well, she squared it up, but it was right at the left fielder for the Crimson Tide.
That's a good piece. I think at times you just need to chalk that up, but that's a good hard hit where someone was at. And I think that's the one thing right now for Auburn. It's just going to take one person to get it going. They've struggled. They should not have dropped that Ole Miss series last weekend. Talked to Coach Emily Carasoni about that. Like, what was the message to your team? And her and Eugene Lenti are the hitting coaches. She said, you guys shouldn't be happy. It's not okay. And I think hearing that and going to work this week a lot on just the little things. And she said it comes down to reps, right? You feel confident through preparation. They only had 2 days to prepare for this series because it's on a Thursday. They traveled and said we just went to work straight to hitting. We're in the facilities. We're using the pitching machine. We're just going, trying to give them that healthy mindset going into this Iron Bowl series.
Amelia Leck fouls it straight back. 0-2 the count. So after the leadoff walk, Kayla Beaver a pitch away, potentially escaping an early jam. Leck pops it up, fouled back, and out of play. Junior from Thousand Oaks, California is Amelia. Started her career at Maryland before coming down to Auburn. And for Mickey Dean, trying to find a way to manufacture a run or two, get out to an early advantage. See what happens from there. Both of these teams squarely in contention for the postseason. Fly ball deep left field at the track, and just foul. It had home run distance. Leck was thinking about her 11th of the season, and Kayla Beaver will take a deep breath after that exchange.
I thought that was going to be foul pole all day. I thought it was going to be an elevate and celebrate. Just love the effort by Jenna Johnson. If I'm Kayla Beaver, I'm spreading the zone. I'm going with my curveball. I'm going to take it 2 balls on the outer half, try to get her to chase at an 0-2 count. She's fouled off some good pitches. Even more. I want it 2 balls, maybe even 3 balls. When you have a hitter that's stepping in the box, that is battling 7 pitches in an 0-2 count, to me, that makes me realize as a pitcher that I got to spread the zone more. She's swinging. She wants to hit something. I want to try to get her out of her comfort zone, spread it even more.
See if Beaver thinks about that. Fly ball, deep right center field, and here comes Auburn. A 2-run bomb off the bat of Amelia Leck. You called it.
Well, it comes down to understanding counts and seeing the hitter swings and knowing, hey, she's fouling off a ton of pitches. I need to be better in that situation, right? Like Amelia Leck got the best of her. I can appreciate the fact that Coach Mickey Dean moved her up top the lineup, and that was an important swing. But when I think of Kayla Beaver, those are the types of pitches that leave you up at night because you know you need to be better in those counts. 0-2, 7th pitch of the at-bat. We cannot throw a pitch over the heart of the plate.
And at that point, Danielle, she had fouled off 4 consecutive pitches, including one of those that had home run distance down the left field line. Two 2-0 the count to Anna Woolers, junior from Davenport, Iowa. Auburn has erupted with a 2 spot here in the bottom of the 1st inning. It was these Tigers that won the series in Tuscaloosa last year. Montana Fouts, part of that Alabama program, of course. A lot of conversations about that this week in these parts. Woolers hitting .296 on the season. 3-0 the count.
And I'm not going to take away the fact that a series like this means a little bit more. There is a different adrenaline. There is a different pressure as a pitcher that you're going to go through in a series like this, right? And I think the pitchers that are able to deal with the emotions of what comes with this type of crowd in this moment and this rivalry and can calm that situation down and execute just the pitch at a time. And sometimes it can feel bigger than you need to make it.
Mickey Dean has to love this start. Already 2 3-ball counts. Kayla Beaver through 5 batters. Payoff on the way to Woolers. Inside, jammed her and fouled it off of her leg back to the circle.
Well, and a lot of pitches thrown. You already look at Kayla Beaver's pitch count, 26 pitches, and a different game plan that I've seen from Auburn. And I've had them the last 2 weekends, and they look like a completely different team right now offensively. Swinging at good pitches in the zone, working Kayla Beaver.
Wohlers strikes out, but the damage is. Kendall Clark leads things off for the Crimson Tide. Maddie Penta already with 2 strikeouts. Hard of the plate and strike 1 to Clark. And Kendall transferring in from Des Moines Area Community College. Great story Patrick Murphy talked about with us earlier this year is how Kendall, multi-sport standout, over in Iowa, would wrestle in the morning, play basketball, an incredible athlete. Able to transfer in, go across the pond, Italy this past summer. Great bonding experiences for these teams to be able to do that, Danielle.
Well, and the key thing that came out of your mouth that I love was you said multi-sport athlete. And I feel like we're seeing a lot more kids being tailored to one sport now more than we ever have.
Do you like that or no?
No, absolutely not. And I think that's the one thing that kids aren't understanding. These coaches love when you have a multi-sport athlete, right? You're playing a different sport. You're learning from different coaches. Your body's moving in different ways. It's not just the same all the time. And really, when you get to college, at times it can be a different type of burnout. So when you have and have had other sports to be able to rely on, it just kind of keeps your mind sharp. And I think it allows for you to figure out like what your true love is. And it's a lot of dedication to the grind, don't get me wrong, but I think it's important to do more than one thing.
3-1 low and away, and the leadoff batter aboard, and Kendall Clark. And Alabama has its first base runner. Well, you uncovered this earlier this week. It's interesting how much better Alabama's been on the road this year compared to the Rhodes House.
And why I think it stood out to me is because the Rhodes House is the hardest place to play, and that's why you want to host a regional and you want to host a super. But for some reason, this Alabama team tends to be a little bit better when people are against them.
I'm ready for you to explain that to us. It's hard to, right? Probably hard for that man.
I think there's this, you got to have this love of everyone rooting against you.
Yeah.
And when you're playing at home, everyone is rooting for you and you feel it and that lifts you up. But on the road, there's this different adrenaline that comes with people disliking you, especially in a rivalry like this. And that's why that stat was cool for me to look into.
Off speed on the outside corner makes it a ball and 2 strikes. Emma Broadfoot, an Alabama native, and she actually addressed the team this week explaining how much this rivalry means to her. We asked Coach Murphy what was that like, and he said she pulled out a bunch of different headlines from Twitter, I believe some newspapers, just to try to explain it at a deeper level for those that didn't understand it. But I don't think it gets too deep before players in any sport between these two rivals understand it in a hurry. Swung on and miss, and a strikeout will be the 3rd of the evening for Maddie Penta.
This just goes to show how deceptive this pitch is. Look at the location. It bounces pretty much right after, and you see the way Broadfoot goes and chases this pitch. And when Maddie Penta's on, that's the pitch that makes everything that much harder to hit. And so far, so good.
Hevelin with a big cut. 5 home runs this season. Callie Hevelin, junior from Three Rivers, Michigan. '21 Michigan Gatorade Player of the Year.
And I had asked Mickey Dean, the head coach, who's the pitching coach for Auburn, a couple weeks ago, and was here for Kentucky. She threw that rise ball only a couple times in that series, but when she did, it was so, so good.
Ground ball hit weakly deep in the hole. It's short. No play can be made, and the Crimson Tide have their first hit. Kendall Clark advancing to second. Tonight's Sunday night countdown. Big moment for the Tide. Bailey Dowling takes outside for ball 1.
Well, and I think just going back to that rise ball, I think that that's a pitch that she's going to have to bring out of her toolbox a little bit more, especially this weekend, but more importantly, heading into SEC conference tournament, which will be here, to be able to use all the tools in your toolbox because you know these hitters know you well.
Now, Maddie Penta, a plethora of pitches in the arsenal. We've seen the changeup. That has been at times a top out pitch. Ball and a strike to count here to Dowling. Snapped outside, 2-1. Top of the second inning, Auburn with a 2-0 advantage. Home run by Amelia Leck moments ago. Out straight back.
Well, the one thing that I feel like I've seen from these Alabama hitters is they've just crept off the plate a little bit. Knowing that Maddie Penta tends to favor arm side, they've backed off the plate. She goes up and in with that rise ball. She has that fastball, but now that opens up the outside part of the plate as well.
Strikeout number 4 for Maddie Penta.
Well, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This pitch is the difference maker for her right now. This is a pitch that most people are looking at like, why the heck are you swinging at it? But she stayed so down in the zone in that at-bat against Dowling and worked it and then climbs the ladder. So that pitch essentially looks like a cookie. And like I said, asking Mickey Dean, how come you guys aren't throwing that more? He goes, it's simply just due to matchups and me knowing that swings tend to favor a little more up or a little more down. Well, at times I kind of disagree. I think we have to be able to throw that pitch, even if a hitter can hit a rise ball. If you throw it out of the zone at a count that maybe they're not expecting, you're going to get swings and misses like that. And knowing that Maddie Penta's time in the game is dwindling as the weeks go by because she is a senior, you don't want to hold anything back.
Here's the catcher, Riley Valentine. 0-2. Penta tried to get it or chase. That's a good take for the transfer from A&M. Sophomore from Phoenix, spent 1 year in College Station a season ago. First year in Tuscaloosa in 2024. 192 hitter upstairs, 2-2. Well, a big moment early in this one, a base hit. Chop that Auburn lead in half. Tied in search of a rebound run. Pitch number 37 from Penta inside. And a full count.
Well, you can hear the frustration, but also with Maddie Penta, I'm always rooting for a pitcher to get the pitch. I think maybe it was a little bit.
Crowd will tell you the story here.
I feel like I can say, to me, the field seems more open than ever when you are making that run to Oklahoma City this year, simply because we've seen them been beat. We've seen Texas win that Big 12 series against them.
What a series that was.
And it gives teams hope. And I think that's the one thing, when you have a little bit of hope going up against that team, anything can happen.
Nelia Peralta leads things off for the Tigers. Off to a 2-0 advantage. And a big cut. Evens the count at a ball and a strike. What have you seen so far from Kayla Beaver in the circle, and what needs to happen after giving up that 2-run jack?
Well, she needs to throw less pitches. So it's finding a way to get the ball in the strike zone, get ahead of these hitters, utilize your defense a little bit. And to me, that's a good AB.
Kristen White in center field makes a running catch.
And I think letting the emotions of what a game like this feels like in and enjoying that, because that's what sport's all about, right? It's these types of rivalries and the feelings that it gives you, but more importantly, there's a different pressure with being a pitcher, right? You can live and die with pitches that leave your hand, and you have to be able to deal with that responsibility. So it's loving this rivalry for what it brings, but not making it any bigger than it is. And I say that lightly, but at the end of the day, you can only execute the pitch that you're throwing. You can't win this whole game with one pitch leaving your hand. So I'm sure she went into the dugout. Lance McMahon probably took her aside and talked to her. I'm assuming Kayla Bro, one of my buddies, took her aside and talked to her and just let her know what it means. But hey, just calm down. Focus on what you can control.
Inside to Milanowski, 190 hitter this season, getting the start today at first base. Head coach Mickey Dean. It has turned out to be a beautiful night for softball. What a series this should be. Weather does not appear to be a factor until perhaps on Game 3 on Saturday. That was swatted foul, 1-2.
You said it.
Well, I put it into the air. I'm all about the reverse jinx. You and I operate in different realms.
We sure do.
I implore the reverse jinx. So by saying that, it ensures that it does not happen.
Like, I know that if there's a no-hitter, that's your job to speak on that, and I'll probably just stay quiet. Since that's not the case today, we don't have to worry about it. But
it's not the case tonight.
But weather, clearly Game 3, we're just going to speak it into existence. It's fine.
We'll speak it into the opposite of what I suggested happening.
It's fine.
That's my life in a nutshell. Still 1-2, an out here in the bottom of the second. We mentioned earlier the 7 graduates for Auburn being recognized pregame, and you can barely find a hotel room anywhere close to the city this weekend.
Well, and Bama staying all the way in Montgomery.
A long ways from here.
From someone that's not familiar with Alabama, my brother played against the Montgomery Biscuits.
Is that AA?
It was AA, and he was with the Huntsville Stars. I think they're the Stars.
I'll take your word for it.
But I don't know how far Montgomery is from here. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Montgomery.
Yeah, it's a solid hour. That's a solid shot that gets all the way to the wall. Milanowski now standing at second for the one-out double. Second hit of the night for the Auburn Tigers. And that is her first extra base hit.
That's a good piece by Axe Milanowski. I just think this ball's bleeding a little bit too much over the heart of the plate. But more importantly, that's a good piece of hitting. I think if Pruitt even fields this cleanly, there's a good chance that Milanowski's still going to get to 2 on that, based on the kind of the velo behind that pitch.
Rose Roach has been near the top of the batting order for Auburn. And tonight, she moves down to the 8th spot. Junior from Auburn, Illinois. Danielle, how many times have we seen that kind of move and that maneuver, and then all of a sudden that hitter catches fire for kind of pressing the reset button?
Well, and I know Rose Roach had battled some injuries and came back, but when I'm looking at stats across the board, I mean, her last hit came against Texas A&M March 23rd, right? Like, so moving her down at the bottom of the lineup, taking less pressure off of her because she was setting the tone up top. So I think being able to move her down and give her that opportunity in that 8th spot is huge, because you know when a hitter is pressing, and over the last couple of weeks, that's definitely what I've seen from Rose Roach. But hitting is the hardest piece in the game. Sometimes I talked to Carasoni before this game, hitting coach for Auburn. I said, sometimes it's easier for a pitcher. You can throw a ball down the middle, they'll still miss it.
Roach stays alive. You mentioned how Mickey Dean talked about she's been pressing a little bit, and one of the areas he has talked most with her is just one pitch at a time. As simple as that may sound, it's something to focus on when you think about the fundamentals and just trying to break out of a short slump.
And you can try to do so much in every single swing, but going back to that fundamental piece. And I've had plenty of conversations with Mickey Dean over the last couple weeks, and something that he really wanted his team to do a better job of was swinging early in the count. So when I'm looking at all the stats prior to, I mean, this is a team that hits 344 when they swing at first pitch. 0-2, 098.
Rose into right field for a base hit. Here comes the throw home, a play at the plate. It's cut off in front, 3-0 Auburn. Well, big moment for Rose Roach.
Well, and sometimes it just takes a little Iron Bowl series to get the bat going. Pressure on the base pass. Milanowski scoring, and another run here for Auburn. That just feels so good if you were Rose Roach.
I mean, it's the weight of the world lifted, right?
Yes.
Squaring to bunt, Widra, and the sacrifice will move Roach to second. Now advancing to third and thrown out. Well, a surprise.
The call in the field is changed. There is obstruction rounding second base. The runner will be awarded third with 2 outs. This is Auburn's first challenge.
And to the little girls that are watching this play, this is so softball IQ of Rose Roach. Listen, Kenley Cahalan needs to get out of the way. You cannot interfere with the base runner, even though she's out by a mile. It makes sense because she knows that this is a call that's going to get overturned. She takes the extra base and now puts Auburn in a situation with a runner at third and the top of the lineup.
So Roach now at third. KK McCrary takes ball 1 from Kayla Beaver, and here we go. Prairie walked and scored in the first. That came after the home run by Amelia Leck. 1-1. I love that teaching moment right there with, it may not feel like the thing to do, but it absolutely was in a veteran play by Rose Roach.
Well, and I will say, in travel ball, you don't have the replay review. So sometimes people will miss it and you get burnt on it. But
you call for the headset. No, there's no headset here.
It's not there. And if the umpires aren't paying attention, which in that situation, they weren't looking, so they couldn't see that. And to be able to go back and have that replay review, it's super quick. It goes to Birmingham. They get it all dialed. Play completely reversed.
Widra out 3-4 on the sacrifice. Roach ends up at third base after the obstruction call. 2 balls and 2 strikes to the top of the order in McCrary. Over to third, the hot shot grab by Dowling over to first for out number 3, and the obstruction in Auburn softball history. 9-1-2. Pruitt, Cahalan, and White lead things off for the Crimson Tide. Unsure of the brief hiatus here, but Pruitt has been swinging it well in practice, according to Patrick Murphy. He wanted to give her an opportunity to get this start. See if she can ignite a spark here at the bottom of the lineup.
You can see Maddie Penta frustrate a little bit. What's the deal? Well, and that clock, I think, has been reset a couple times. So Pruitt in the 9 spot can see that dead center. And on the flip side, Maddie Penta can see that right behind the umpire, Alex Leap. And it could also be kind of a freeze the pitcher a little bit. Let's try to get in her head.
15th start of the season for Pruitt. Just off the outer edge, it is 1-0. What is it like as a senior playing your last game and last series, home ballpark? And Auburn gets the benefit playing the SEC tournament here next week, so it's a little different. But the last series, the regular season, you got to be thinking about how it all started and then now how it ultimately ends.
It's emotional for sure. I can tell you, I didn't really let it in until I was officially done when I went through it. And I think that's kind of the mindset at times of Maddie Penta. She's so just headstrong and driven toward what she's doing. And I think that that's important.
And Pruitt sends this one to right field. It stays up for Tresvik for out number 1.
But it's interesting because I asked Coach Mickey Dean about how the seniors are handling that, and he said at times they're already looking too far forward instead of being where their feet are at, because we can't rush what's coming. We can only do what we can do day of, and I think that's good advice, because your 4 years in a uniform goes by so quick. There's been some people that have gotten that additional COVID year that will be coming to an end.
Cahalan a mile high and popped up to shallow right. Second straight pitch that Tresvik has recorded an out in right field.
But I think the importance of understanding how big of a deal it is. You know, you dedicate your life to this sport and the grind and the travel ball and the money and your parents taking you here and there, and it all kind of comes to a fruition in a senior moment when you kind of say goodbye to this game and why you chose this university, and everyone is here supporting you. Shoot, I was tears in my eyes 2 weeks ago for Shelby Lowe's senior day, and I'm over here, gosh, why am I like crying? Because I look at it now more through the parents' lens than I do the student-athlete lens, thinking of, hey, what if that was one of my daughters? It's a pretty emotional moment. I was actually holding Shelby Lowe's puppy before the open, Junebug.
Very cute as Junebug. That's a foul ball from Kristen White.
Finally, I got a chance. My partner 2 weeks ago, Courtney Lyle, was a dog hog. She wouldn't even let me hold the dog. So I had to ask Mama Bear of Shelby Lowe if she'd let the puppy up here in the booth.
She did.
She did.
Super cute. 0-2 the count to Kristen White. Auburn leading Bama 3-0. Here in the top of the third inning, Maddie Penta comes home and a pop-up to Roach at second. Another 1-2-3 frame. Bama has put just 2.
That series.
Kayla Packer sends it to second. Heveland up to the challenge for out number 1.
But to me, it's more so this energy that they're able to bring right from the jump and almost jump on Kayla Beaver to where it seems like she's pitching on her heels a little bit. She just doesn't look like her comfortable self, right? And at times, Kayla Beaver has had the same track record as Maddie Penta, where if they struggle game 1, they throw a whole lot better game 3. And we saw her do that against Tennessee. I mean, over the course of 13 innings, she threw up against that offense. She gave up 1 earned run last weekend. Like, she's the real deal. But to me, it looks like she's just pitching a little bit, I don't know, on her heels, not as comfortable. And you have to have that bulldog mentality going into this type of a series, going up against someone like Maddie Penta. You have to match the energy.
Well, 2 rise balls out of the zone. 2-0 the count to Tresvik. .52 pitches in for Kayla Beaver. First taste of this rivalry after incredible career and the start of her career at Central Arkansas. Mentioned a lifelong Alabama fan, grew up a huge fan of the Crimson Tide with her family. Second she entered the portal, really it was no doubt where she wanted to go. Work to do here. 3-0 to Tresvik on the outer half.
Well, and you and I were even just having the conversation of at times similarities of Montana Fouts, right? Like both 6'1", they're tall, they throw heat. So to be able to bring in an addition like this in the transfer portal, I think is very important to a team's success. You have to go hunting. And you can say the same thing for Auburn and being able to pick up someone like Amelia Leck and the importance of like what she's been able to bring with them, losing some of the players they did. You look at Bree Ellis, left to Arkansas, Denver Bryant. I mean, there's been a ton of good hitters that have left programs too. So you want to find that strike zone early, have your pitchers back.
Amelia Leck, her 11th home run of the season in the first inning. First pitch strike, 0-1. Kayla Beaver's line, she is responsible for Tresvik over at first. 2 1/3, gave up 3 hits, 3 runs, a couple of walks as well. Not in front, 1-2. Check it, that is. Leck was trotting back towards the dugout for a moment. 34 driven in after that 2-run shot in the first. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, and this is almost giving me Brianna Lopez vibes from Ole Miss last weekend, who's the lefty spinner, multiple speeds last weekend, had a ton of success over Auburn. Clearly, they lost 2 of 3, and it's because she has that change.
Tresvik steals second. And so the out on the strikeout. Tresvik now standing at second base, so a good start for Johnson out of the bullpen.
Well, what a statement. I think being able to come in, strike out Leck, is the confidence that you need to feed your defense right now, because that, to me, is what needs to happen. Who's going to get the energy and the ball rolling? Bama just looks a little bit flat. If you want to get stuff together, sometimes that tone needs to be set in the circle.
Tresvik has been absolutely lights out in the stolen base department. Her 18th of the season in just 20 attempts. Quickly 0-2 to Woolers. Woolers through the right side into right field for a base hit. Tresvik will score easily, and it's 4-0 Tigers.
Good job by Wooler. She waits on this pitch. It's not like she absolutely crushes it, but it just finds a home through the 3-4 hole. Isis Tresvik, a lot of speed. Another run here for Auburn. Maddie Penta loving it.
Junior from Wellington, Florida, takes high. Woolers over at first base. Tigers now 3 of 4 with runners in scoring position tonight. Just a total polar opposite what you talked about a week ago with Ole Miss in the series that you called.
Well, I think making this change, when I'm looking at the numbers for Leah Johnson as far as in-conference play, coming up to this point, she's only thrown 8 innings in conference. So it's a matchup of simply looking at what Lopez was able to do last weekend for Ole Miss and the success that she was able to have, and say, hey, we got a thumber on staff. Like, yeah, she may not have a ton of innings in SEC play, but she can change speeds with the best of them. Let's try to switch it up. That's what they've done.
Upstairs 3-1. Auburn threatening to break this game wide open already. Stake to a 4-0 advantage. Game 1 of this 3-game series, and Mickey Dean, final year as Auburn's head coach, now has runners at first and second. Third walk issued by Alabama pitching. Milanowski would be due up next. Mickey Dean trots about halfway down the first baseline, and a pinch runner will check in. So McNeamer will go to second. Take the spot of Woolers.
Anytime you give the catcher a little rest on the legs,
it's a good thing, right?
It's a good thing.
Spoken like a true pitcher.
Hey, there was a different fatigue. It's just in the arm a little bit, but the legs work more than what you think.
Milanowski doubled and scored. So 1 out in the second inning. Ball on a strike to count here. Johnson trying to find a rhythm. Peralta remains at first base. Runner takes off from second. How about a double steal? 2 in scoring position now for the home team. Everything working to perfection so far tonight for Auburn. 3 steals tonight for the Tigers. 2-2.
Well, so good by McNeamer, right? Like, you have to know your speed at second. You have to respect where the defense is playing, knowing that Cahalan's back, Dowling's in, and knowing ultimately that you can beat Cahalan one-on-one. That's really what it came down to.
Base hit here could be huge. Popped up. The shallow right field. That's a fair ball. And it is grabbed cleanly for out number 3. Head coach of the Crimson Tide, Patrick Murphy. Coach, the message to the team there in the dugout just moments ago when you talked to him.
Well, it's Auburn, Alabama. There's no energy at all. So we got to pick it up. That's about the worst 3 innings we played in an SEC game to start a series. So we got to do something better.
Coach, bringing in Aaliyah Johnson, to me, she's kind of giving me Bree Lopez vibes of Ole Miss, that little bit of a thumber. Wanting to know if any thought behind that and her success she had last weekend against Auburn?
Yeah, it's Ailey Johnson, just FYI. It looks like Aaliyah, but it's Ailey. Great changeup, a lot of spin. Her changeup is I think probably the best we've ever had in the history of our program. So you might see it 80% of the time. And it makes her hard stuff look even harder. That's the key. And you're right, very similar to the young lady from Ole Miss.
Coach, appreciate the time. Best of
luck.
luck.
Right, thanks for being here.
Patrick Murphy, year number 26. He has amassed nearly 1,300 wins. And my experience this season, when he gathers the team for a conversation, as he did moments ago in between innings, they typically respond well and quickly. And we will see if that changes against Maddie Penta, but certainly just trying to find a way to ignite this offense and ignite this team in this rivalry series. Jenna Johnson will lead things off. 4-0 our score on the outside corner from Penta for strike 1.
Well, and I think he's right. Like, Auburn doesn't look nearly as energetic as a team like Auburn. They came out swinging right out of the gate and have created a lot more action offensively. And on the flip side, that's what Alabama has to do. And at times it's a tough task when you're going up against someone like Maddie Penta. And when she's on point, she is on. So you have to be a tough out and really work the counts, find ways, try to get in her head a little bit. That's why I think the previous inning you saw Pruitt at the bottom of the lineup messing around a little bit.
Well, the biggest swing in this game so far out the bat of Amelia Leck back in the first inning. 2-strike count. She fouled out 4 straight pitches before launching her 11th home run of the season. That kind of set the tone early, and we wondered at that point in time, the team that scored first, how big of an advantage would that be as Jenna Johnson strikes out. It's incredible how Formula One is taking things over. Here's Kendall Clark, and she fouls out to Penta. Rather lines out to Penta. Clippers-Mavs series has been tremendous. Luka went off last night on the road. Mavericks have a 3-2 lead in that one coming back home. Here's Emma Broadfoot. I do love this time of year, though, where you have all the multiple sports happening and you've got playoffs, Grand Prix, NHL,
Canucks.
Softball, Mayhem's coming up.
Yep, the Canucks, Vancouver Canucks are doing well.
You're a big hockey fan.
Well,
big is a strong word.
Big is a strong word. But when they're doing well, I watch.
Yes.
But that doesn't take away from the Kraken. I was a Seattle Kraken fan for a bit.
For just a brief period of time.
Hey, well,
they really just got started.
I know, I still am, but.
Bring back the Supersonics, I say, too.
Amen.
1-1 to Broadfoot. Able to check her swing. Interesting to hear Murph talk a little bit about the energy and just citing, hey, that's something that should not be a problem in this rivalry. You can understand how he's trying to change that. 3 balls and a strike.
Well, I think sometimes the importance of a pitcher setting the tone right from the jump is key, and that really is what Maddie Penta has been able to do. And Kayla Beaver struggled a little bit, and you saw Auburn take advantage of her on her heels, and that's why it is a 4-0 ball game because of that.
On the inside corner, a full count. Broadfoot working against Maddie Penta. It has been an efficient start for the Auburn ace. Payoff pitch on the way. It is high, and Broadfoot keeps the inning alive. Second walk issued by Maddie Penta, and Broadfoot, the transfer from North Alabama, standing at first for head coach Patrick Murphy. Here's Callie Hevlin. Well, both of these teams in prime position for postseason play. For Alabama, you look at the updated RPI, and they certainly have a chance to be able to host in Tuscaloosa, which really makes this weekend even more important. Auburn wants to keep its season alive at the conclusion of the SEC tournament, in a spot to do so. You look at all the teams in terms of the RPI in the SEC, a very strong conference. Once again, Bama at 14, Auburn at 23.
Well, and both these coaches have just mentioned how much of a struggle at times the SEC is. Every single weekend, it is such a grind, and you get to that point. I know I have said it the last couple weeks, but you kind of get to that point where you're like, gosh, can this be over already? Like, can we get to the postseason? It's such a dogfight week in and week out. And the numbers don't lie. Like, even looking at Maddie Penta coming into this series, I mean, in conference play, she had a 2.96 ERA, but all around, she's 1.73, which means she's up over a point and a bit just simply because of conference play. These teams know her. They're making adjustments every weekend. But I think that there's more of a mental piece that goes into it at times than a physical. There's not much of a physical change that someone like Maddie Penta is going to make, right? You have to take your lumps and know that teams are going to have your number every now and again. But to me, a player like Maddie Penta and Kayla Beaver are so fierce on game 3, and that to me stands out more than anything.
3-2. Evelyn chased. Six strikeouts already tonight for Maddie Penta. Low and away for ball 4, and the Crimson Tide trying to mount a rally. Runners at first and second, and that'll bring up Bailey Dowling.
Well, and if you're Bama,
second team all SEC 2 years ago, set up in the back of the box, and a first pitch strike delivered by Penta. Penta just 39 strikeouts away entering tonight, having more than 250 strikeouts in 3 seasons. And all the numbers, all the accolades. First Auburn pitcher to earn first team All-America honors. And she has been on point tonight. Dowling on top of it, but straight back. 1-2. She had a strikeout in a similar moment with 2 on in the second frame. Ooh. That was close.
ooh, I don't know about that one, Roy.
I know what you think. I know what she thinks. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Penta with 7 strikeouts. And the Tide strand 2. Earlier tonight, 4-0 ball game. This one bunted. Foul. Was it grabbed cleanly? It was. Dowling sneaking down the third baseline. Made an incredible diving play.
Number 66.
Just straight up cat-like reflexes. Way up the line, lays it all out there, so good. Those are just the little things that can get you going, get your pitcher going.
Widra pops it up. That's a fair ball. And Hevelin records the outs. Well, the NBA playoffs first round continues with a couple of game sixes tomorrow night on ESPN and the app. Cavs Magic at 7 Eastern with Cleveland up 3-2. Told you about Clippers and Mavericks. Dallas up 3-2. Countdown Crew begins our coverage at 6:30 Eastern. That is tomorrow.
Well, and I like the timeout here by Coach Mickey Dean. I mean, we have 2 pitches, 2 outs. So to have that conversation with KK McCrary, try to break up this inning a little bit. The last thing you want to do is give Alabama any type of momentum here. And on the flip side, Ailey Johnson, some solid pitches.
Johnson coming on in relief of Caleb Beaver. First pitch strike. McCrary walked and scored in the first, grounded out to short her last time up. Off speed, it's quickly 0-2.
Well, it is such a deceptive pitch coming out of Johnson's hand. Tough to pick up as a hitter. You can just tell simply based on the movement of their lower half on that pitch, they look completely fooled, and that's when you know it is a tough pitch. Tough to track out of the hand.
Prairie batting that leadoff spot. Peeled down to first. Chris Neighbors, our first base umpire tonight. Donald Brown over at third. Alex Leap behind home plate. Ball and 2 strikes inside. That'll even the count. Prairie started her career at Tennessee. Second season now here at Auburn. Former Tennessean Softball Player of the Year. Sister Hannah has a gymnastics scholarship at Mizzou. She's been competing there for the Tigers. And a pitch settles in high. I thought that was ball 3. And McCrary's going to have to come back to first. And a wry smile on that slow walk. I don't know that I've seen that before.
I know it fires me up if I'm the pitcher and you think you're getting a free pass.
That's a sign of disrespect as far as you're concerned,
that,
right?
To me, it is, even though it's not intentional.
I could hear the tone in your voice. McCrary draws the walk on the next pitch and implores the crowd on the run down to first base. Fun moment. I am not disrespecting Danielle Laurie at any point. It's the most exciting walk we've seen in a while. Here's Packer. Kayla, the 1-4 sacrifice, advancing McCrary in the first inning. Grounded out to second in the third. Chattanooga, Tennessee. And nubbed into foul territory, and that'll land right next against the fencing over there. I mean, I'm imagining the velo, the rise ball probably jettisoned up a couple of notches in a situation where you felt like you were being disrespected.
Roy's poking the bear. That's what he's doing.
Slap through the left side for a base hit, and Packers aboard. McCrary now at second. Her first hit of the night. Auburn has provided plenty of energy this evening.
That almost gave me hit and run type vibes because Kenley Cahalan was already making her way towards second base. That's a ball that's in the 5-6 hole, no doubt, but Cahalan's so good at moving side to side, but she was too pinched up the middle. Low shots coming off her bat, has 3 home runs in her last 11. Hence why she has moved her way up the lineup into that 3 spot, batted 7 over the course of the last couple weeks.
Walking a hit, and here's Tresvik, 2-1. Isis plenty of speed with the 17 stolen bases coming into the weekend. That's 4th in the SEC. That speed on display there. Auburn has the bases loaded.
When you just see how far the defense is back, but almost like another hit and run type situation for Michaela Packer, because you saw Hevelin making her way to second. Wasn't in a position to be able to get to first base on that ball.
Here's Leck, first pitch strike. McCrary at third. Packer now at second, Tresvik at first. And Leck started the party right for Auburn this graduation weekend with a 2-run blast back in the first inning.
Well, when you think about it, it's a potential run rule situation here. If Leck goes grand salami, that only gives Auburn 3 more outs to potentially mess with.
What a statement that would be in game 1. Haley Johnson trying to spot the zone again. Amelia Leck 2 for 5 with the bases loaded this season. 11 home runs on the year, swatted and fouled.
When I was talking to Amelia Leck earlier, she was talking about the Lopez changeup pitcher from Ole Miss last weekend, and she said, you know, she was hard on us, but the one thing I can say about myself is when I step in the box, you can fool me once with a changeup, but you won't fool me twice. I will be on time. I will find a way to make that adjustment in an AB. 2-2 count, bases loaded. See what Haley Johnson does.
Valentine did all she could to corral that pitch. A full count and no space to put Leck.
I'm sitting change. I am. I think she's gonna go change.
What a moment here. Payoff pitch. Popped up, shallow left field, and that is gonna be caught. Cahalan drifting.
So good. Third most among active D1 pitchers, 895 strikeouts. That's tough to do in this day and age. Back in the day when you only had one pitcher, yeah, stuff like that happened a little more, but when you have 2 to 3 arms on a staff, it really just goes to show how tough she is. More importantly, how much she's going to be missed in this game.
Kat Grill, pinch hitter for the Crimson Tide. 13th AB of this season. Senior from Tuscaloosa. Big moment to try to start a rally here in the top of the 5th inning. Have the next 2 games of this series over on SEC Network this weekend. And for Mickey Dean, his final regular season series at home. The SEC tournament will be here next week. I think he's of the mindset in our conversations with him this week, kind of like what you were talking about. It's not really over until it's over. It's not something he can focus on a ton right now. But then once it hits, it's probably going to hit like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, he's so attention to detail, the day-to-day, the grind. That's Mickey Dean. And it's hard to not be that way when that's all that you've done over the years. And it will. Unfortunately, it's going to be a sad day when he's not doing this day in and day out. It hits everyone differently, just like it hits the seniors on senior day. And
Grill pops out. Peralta at short. He gave us a great quote this weekend. Mickey Dean talking about retiring, and this is his final home series as the head coach for Auburn. He said, to me, it's about celebrating the players, the people around us. He goes, I keep reading things to our team about celebrating others. If you can celebrate others, you can enjoy what you are doing a great deal more. It can't always be about you and your performance. I think he's done a remarkable job of that, going back to his time at Radford, then at James Madison. And these are 2 coaches that have great respect for each other as well. Mickey Dean told us, even though Coach Murphy is younger than him, when he came into the SEC, it was almost like Murph was a mentor to him. And Murph told us this week, hey, I'm bringing him a gift. We're going to celebrate him. We're friends.
Well, when we asked Mickey Dean about this rivalry, he goes, you guys keep wanting me to say something bad about Murph. You cannot say something bad about someone you respect that much. And then I wanted to reiterate, we never made him think he had to say something bad. Murphy's one of my favorites.
Pruitt flies out to left field and played perfectly by McCrary.
But I think when you think about what a series like this means for the athlete, it gets heated, it gets feisty, things happen. So when you ask those questions, it's because you might want a little unfiltered of what Mickey Dean's thinking.
Here's Kinley Cahalan, who made that incredible play. Force Auburn to leave them loaded in the last inning. And I don't know that you can talk about a pressure-packed moment like this where she had to come up with it. Otherwise, at least 2 runs will score.
Well, and it was the initial move towards the ball and then the quick drop step to get her momentum and body back. And that was going Bermuda Triangle all day, it looked like, and she absolutely robbed that. That is a really tough catch. I don't think she's making that 9 out of 10 times.
I would agree. 0-2 the count. Penta is dealing. 7 strikeouts. She has walked 3 batters in 4 2/3. And a fly ball center field. Packer drifting towards her left. And she will make the play at the last minute.
I mean, the pitchers that come before them, you know, Coach Murphy says on the phone call, like the players like Jackie Trena and Osorio and then Montana Fouts, and being able to bring in a transfer like Kayla Beaver is great, but she's only here for a year. So is Brisky going to be that 4-year star that's going to be able to put Alabama on her back? Because when I think of Alabama softball, that's what I think of.
Woolers, a shot into left field. Leadoff batter aboard for the Tigers, and a snap throw back to first, and that was close. Second hit of the night for Anna Woolers.
This is a good job. She goes and gets this pitch. This is not a bad spot by Ailey Johnson. It's not, but she just hits it where it's pitched.
Alabama is
keeping her on her
challenging
toes.
the play at first
Cahalan
base.
has a rocket.
The call on the field is safe. The play is under further review.
They're going to take a look at that last part as Woolers race back.
Review. The call on the field is upheld. The runner is safe. This is Alabama's first challenge.
Anna Woolers taking a deep breath there. Woo!
Number 13, Nelia Peralta.
So here's Peralta, junior from Wellington, Florida. Started every game a season ago, all 62. Over at shortstop. She's back there again this season. 241 on the year, has walked 1 time tonight. 2-hit night for Woolers. And it has been Auburn that has broken out of a little bit of a skid offensively. And you mentioned it, you've seen them each of the last 2 weekends. A totally different looking team tonight than what we saw at Ole Miss. And you feel like Mickey Dean challenged his team this week. And he told us, listen, last weekend was not acceptable. We expected to win that series, we did not. What are we going to do about it?
Well, I like that I got the chance to sit and talk with Emily Carasoni pregame and just talk about the hitting piece, because Carasoni and Eugene Lenti are the ones that help with the hitting. And Mickey Dean said, hey, go talk to them. I give you full permission to pick their brain.
Peralta.
With Carasoni, she goes, at times it just looks like our hitters aren't confident, right? And when you think about the confidence piece, what makes athletes confident in the moment is confidence through repetitions, doing it and being successful at it. Well, hitting, unfortunately, is a game where you fail at times a lot more than you succeed. So this week, it was really just going back to the basics and constantly working, getting in the cages, in their hitting facility, and just nonstop getting the reps, pumping them up, fueling them up. It looks like a different team a little bit here. Game 1 of this rivalry game.
Games 2 and 3, both televised on SEC Network. Here's Milanowski. Squares to bunt, takes a rise ball out of the zone. Auburn has not trailed tonight after jumping out to a 2-0 advantage. Nowski over to third. Dowling fires a strike. The sacrifice advancing both runners. Woolers now at third, Peralta at second. Lanowski gets the job done for out number 1.
Up to bat, number 99, Roach.
Let's see what the approach is of Roach after her hit in the second. And Mickey Dean quickly gonna call for a substitution here. And a pinch runner comes in at second. That'll be Martin.
Big runner checks in for the Tigers. Second base, number 1, Talia Martin.
Oh, the freshman Talia Martin. Now the RBI single for Rose Roach, batting 8th tonight, and occurring in the second inning. Quick AB her second time up in the 4th. Been battling injury. Slow roller over to Dowling. Quickly 2 away. Oh, an active frame for Bailey Dowling over the hot corner. Give Haley Johnson some credit here too. Settling back down into the circle. Lance McMahon came out for a moment. Alabama pitching coach. Here's Annabelle Widra.
Prior to this game, Haley Johnson, only 8 innings pitched in conference play. Not a whole lot. It's been Kayla Beaver, it's been Brisky. A little bit of Jayla Torrance in the mix, but...
Now, Brisky, in my opinion, has the potential to be a big-time superstar following in the footsteps of former Alabama pitchers. You think about Montana Fouts. I mean, you go way back, longer than that, obviously. National championship run just over 10 years ago. Well documented by SEC Network. Great series that came out, or could be a series. It's only been 1 hour so far. 3 balls and a strike. Jocelyn Brisky, last 3 weeks has been almost unhittable. Serve foul.
Well, and I'm almost thinking, are we at the end of the era of pitchers being able to be a one-gun show, right? You think of Jackie Traina, okay, all Traina. You think of Alexis Osorio, all Osorio. You think of Montana Fouts, same thing. She threw 90% of the innings. So are we at that different phase in the game? And I think we are.
Widra strikes out. Auburn strands 2. 4-0 our score. Danielle Laurie, Roy Philpott. And so far it has been all Auburn tonight. 2, 3, and 4. For the Crimson Tide here in the top of the 6th inning. You take a look at the bottom 6 teams in the SEC standings. And, Auburn trying to inch its way a little closer to avoiding day 1. Alabama at 9 and 12, unfamiliar territory. Boy, White lays down the bunt beautifully. How did that ball stop where it did? About 2 inches away from the third baseline.
Well, this is why she's moved to that two hole, excuse me. So good. Are you kidding me? Caleb Rowe, fire me up. She's been helping White so much on that triple threat piece, being able to lay that bunt down, that slap. And Coach Murphy said he moved her to the 2-hole last weekend. Simply, lefties had a little bit more success against Carlin Pickens with Tennessee.
Caleb Rowe looking on. Christian White, best athlete on the team, according to this Alabama coaching staff. Jenna Johnson's 0 for 2. Inside 2-0, so all of a sudden Maddie Penta Thinking about this next pitch a little more. Only giving up 2 hits. That last one moments ago off the bat of Kristen White. Literally just laid dead along that third baseline.
I can understand her frustration. That's a pitch that she's gotten called throughout the whole day on that one. She doesn't, and now she finds herself at 3-0 instead of 2-1. And sometimes that can be the mind game that can be played, not intentionally by umpires. I know that they make mistakes, but as a pitcher, it can be frustrating. And you just throw a heater right down the middle. Hey, 69, let's go.
Johnson from Franklin, Tennessee, Page High School. Over to third. We'll get the force out at second. White is retired. Double play. And they'll take a look at that.
Well, this was just so muddy. Weidra with the rocket over to Rose Roach.
Alabama is
was
challenging the play at first base. The call in the field is out. The play is under further review.
I think that
Just to make sure she came up with it cleanly, the turn by Roach.
After review, the call in the field is upheld. The runner is out. This is Alabama's second and final challenge.
All smiles for Maddie Penta.
Well, and to me, it just goes to show how crisp that was on defense. That was so money. Weidra to Roach to Milanowski, and how smooth that was.
Alabama out of challenges. Auburn with 2 remaining. Here's Kendall Clark. And that one pitch changes everything in this inning here as it's starting to get late on the Plains. Clark is 0 for 1, but she did walk her first AB in the second. Both teams coming off series losses a week ago. Hit to Peralta, and easy.
On deck in the pitching department.
McCrary will lead it off. 1, 2, and 3. McCrary, 2 balls and a strike. We do have a new catcher and center fielder to tell you about. Lauren Johnson settles in center field. Marie Giles, the new catcher for the Crimson Tide. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Jayla Torrance, you and I were talking during that break, and remember seeing her a good bit at the end of last season. She was instrumental down the stretch for Coach Murphy's club. And maybe not as much as we anticipated so far this year. Of course, that can change.
Well, I don't think Bama gets to Oklahoma City last year without Jayla Torrance and her performance that she was able to have in the regionals last year. She was so big for them.
Unhittable. We were there in Tuscaloosa in the win against Middle Tennessee, and remember Montana Fouts was unable to go at that point in time, and you want to talk about clutch. Jayla Torrance defined the word in postseason play. Crary draws a walk. That's the 3rd time she has reached tonight, all via the free pass. And here's Packer. Squares to bunt, foul territory, and Giles gave it everything she had.
Well, and good to see Giles back. She got hit by a pitch in that Kentucky series by Schoonover and has finally gotten clear to be able to play defensively.
Yeah, Marley Giles is, well, it's great to see her. It's taken some time.
And the one thing that I mentioned earlier on in this game, with talking with the pitching coach with Alabama, Lance McMahon, and he said, we're at our best when we don't walk people. The Tennessee series, we walked 2 over the course of 3 games, and tonight they're already at 6, and they're not even through 6 innings. Like, those are the little things that if you want to go far are going to hurt you. And at times you can say the same thing for Auburn with Maddie Penta. Like, based on how she's performed tonight at times, I still think she's walked too many. And yeah, you can always get yourself out of the jam by getting the big strikeout or being able to step up under pressure, but why put yourself in that situation if you don't have to?
The NBA Countdown crew begins at 6:30 Eastern. Clippers coming off one of the worst actual performances in postseason history last night at home. 30-point loss to the Mavs. Try to bounce back on the road. Here's Tresvik. Shows you her power into the netting. 0-2. Isis has been aboard twice tonight. Walked in the 3rd, singled in the 4th. From Wilmington, North Carolina originally, helped lead her high school, Hoggard High, Class 4A state championship. Mentioned her speed and how that's been a factor for Auburn this season.
One thing I know about Isis Tresvik, she's a tough out with 2 strikes. I mean, batting .221, and it just goes to show how scrappy she is when she steps in the box. Whether she gets down or not, she's going to put her best foot forward and have those good at-bats. Tough out.
Pinch runner checks in at first base for the Tigers. Number 20, Abby Smith.
Abby Smith, the pinch runner at first base. Torrance comes home with a 2-2, a big cut, runner goes, and the throw down to second is in time. Strikeout, throw him out, and a big
out, only giving up those 2 hits in the 6 innings.
Emma Broadfoot will lead things off, and into center field, and just over the glove of the shortstop Peralta. Well, a good start for the Crimson Tide, and don't go anywhere just yet. Broadfoot is aboard.
Well, the initial shot you don't get to see on that. I think Nelia Peralta stepped in towards the ball, right? When in all reality, it was going to make way over her head if she was able to drop step. But sometimes off the bat, I mean, the way that you read it, it seems harder than it is. Broadfoot with that leadoff base hit.
3rd hit of the night. Callie Hevelin digs in. Pinch runner is Kinley Pate. Penta comes home to Hevelin, and a shot straight away center, and that ball is gone. Sixth home run of the season for Callie Hevelin, and the Crimson Tide back in it.
Well, how fitting that Emma Broadfoot led it off and had a conversation about the intensity of this type of a rivalry. Top of the 7th inning, leadoff on, Hevelin, dead center, 2-run shot. We got a 2-run ball game here with none out.
Well, we think about what this Alabama bullpen's been able to do tonight. Quality work in relief of Kayla Beaver. In 3 2/3 innings, they haven't given up a single run to have a chance to try to mount a comeback, and let's see what the rest of this frame looks like. Lauren Essman steps in as another pinch hitter for the Tide. Delivers a line drive into right center field. That'll get back to the wall, and Essman in scoring position. Still no one out here in the 7th.
And to me, the biggest adjustment this inning has simply been swinging early in the count. We've seen all of these hitters swing early. Broadfoot, Hevelin first pitch swinging. You see Lauren Essman first pitch swinging, knowing Penta wants to get ahead, making her pay.
Riley Valentine, a base hit could make it a one-run game. No one out here in the top of the 7th. Well, you can feel the tension mounting with each pitch as Alabama has found a way to simply hang around in this game. Valentine fouls it right off of home plate. There is activity in the Auburn bullpen. One and two.
Well, these are the types of innings for Maddie Penta where you get to see what she's made of, right? We got pressure on. In my opinion, this is her game to win or lose based on how she has come out from the jump. Found herself in a little bit of trouble here in the 7th, but
Fly ball, deep right field, going back. Tresvik will make the play, tagging and advancing to third. Is Dowling the pinch runner. Check it, Esmond remain on the base paths. Very big first out for Maddie Penta. And here's Pruitt. I mentioned how Pruitt had been swinging it well in practice, getting the opportunity tonight to start in right field. Alabama native. Infield closing in, and that one sent foul. Well, Alabama, Danielle, had 2 hits the entire game before this inning. They've had 3 in their first 4 ABs so far here in the 7th. And if anything, even if you can't complete the comeback, it gives you a little momentum going into game 2.
well, that would be the message heading into tomorrow, regardless of what happens in this game. Hey, we have to find a way to bring that energy right from the jump. And I don't know if it means that, hey, we need to swing earlier in the counts, because that's simply been the biggest adjustment that we've seen. We've seen them move around on the plate a little bit. They've backed off, respecting the fact that Penta has the heat on the inner half to those righties, but simply it can be something that Patrick Murphy does. He's big at times with that hit and run or getting a hitter to hold up, and he's not afraid to use that. And I think sometimes giving the hitter the green light in a situation where maybe they aren't fully comfortable pulling the trigger on a first pitch swing. Hey, if I tell you to do it, you got to do it, and good things can happen.
Into the gap, right center field, and in and out of the glove of Packer. 1 run is in, still just 1 out, 4-3 the score.
Well, and for a second, I thought that this was going to be a play that Michaela Packer was going to make. Pruitt, this is money. This is a pitch that's high heat up in the zone, and she's able to barrel this bad boy up and hit and find a gap. And this is huge in the sense where you know that hitting is contagious, and you're starting to feel a little bit of a shift. The fans are up for Alabama down that left field line. But yet again, I believe that this is Penta's game to win or lose. She's a senior. You have to trust in this moment. I have 1 down. I got to be able to focus on what I can control right now. And yeah, we know there's action in the bullpen, but Alabama never finished below 500. This game means a lot.
Pruitt aboard off the error by Packer. 4-3. Most importantly, the tying run standing at second base for the top of the order in Kinley Cahalan. Nothing in 2.
And there has to be this different mentality that comes over you when you have 2 strikes. When you think of Maddie Penta, she's at her best when she has 2 strikes because she has a lot to toy with on a hitter. And this is where you need to use that senior leadership and that dominance in this moment to believe that there is no one better. And if you don't have that as a pitcher in these pressure moments, then I don't know who will get you out of the jam. But it's a pitch like that. Perfect timing to climb the ladder. We actually haven't seen this pitch in the last couple innings. And this is when you want to use it. You can tell Cahalan's looking down in the zone. That's a pitch that you cannot do anything with as a hitter. You have to be able to hold so big.
Lauren Johnson, the pitch hitter, and it all comes down to this. Outside corner, and Penta has new life, and you can sense it. Well, there's something about this rivalry, and it almost feels like this is how it should be.
I feel like my heart rate's raising a bit. My Apple Watch is telling me to calm down.
Big moment for the freshman, Lauren Johnson. And Penta a strike away. Crimson Tide without a base hit. 6 opportunities with a runner in scoring position tonight. This capacity crowd will let you know. Johnson stays alive. What a rally, what a moment. The 1-2. Auburn survives. 4-3, the final score in game 1.